Yeah, it's very awkward situations when you start grabbing people from other teams to help as subs. It just ends up becoming a little bit of a mess, but we are getting into our grand finals. It is the first game of the best of 3. I believe we have Oh My Science on the left. Those guys are on the right. Oh My Science banned Warhead. And those guys banned Curse. And we're starting out on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Alright, so this is our first best of 3. There's some flexibility here. Last game took a long time to get through. That was very, very back and forth. We haven't seen Oh My Signs. We've only seen those guys in that last match bring down Kevin. So, you know, we don't necessarily know how fast these teams are looking to pick up or end matches, how confident and aggressive they can play. And we are on Tomb of the Spider Queen. I'd like to see a Valyra pick if she isn't banned. I'd like to see a Garrosh pick if he isn't banned. And that's a Lucio ban.
We've seen his strength.
You don't need to first ban Lucio, though.
He has consistently been in those first 3 picks. So unless you want to first pick that Lucio, you're not going to get him. So I can understand that Lucio is the first ban, because he is just that strong. We've seen it throughout the day. His healing numbers did cop a bit of a hit, but his speed boost is so valuable in not only disengaging, but engaging fights, just chasing down those last few members, and just the sound barriers can be so impactful at the right time. He just has so much in his kit that is still good, even though his numbers copped a hit.
I don't know about this Sonya ban.
She's strong. She's still strong.
No, she's definitely strong. She's definitely good, but it never feels as if a Sonya is the thing that's going to turn the tide of the fight.
Yeah,
she's a piece in the puzzle. She's a piece in the puzzle. She's one of the lions of Voltron, but she's never the head. She's not the head of Voltron. You know what I mean?
She's one of those really strong arms.
Yeah.
She's the
sword. She's the red lion. She's the sword arm of Voltron. For any of those who either know original Voltron or have seen the remake that's been out, that's really, really cool. But my point is she's never. It's been a long time, in my opinion, since Sonya was the reason that you won the game. Like, she's a very key component hero. But like Li Ming or Greymane, those are 2 power picks that make great sense. Like, I would have banned. I guess they're picking it, so Sonya's a little bit of a throwaway ban to them. But
there's also the thing of, like, solo laners kind of have a thankless job almost.
Oh yeah,
it's like you don't necessarily notice the solo laner if they're winning, if they're losing. Well, you notice when they're losing, because all of a sudden your team is behind in experience, and all of a sudden you don't have pressure on one side of the map, and you're just bleeding out on that side of the map. So having that strong solo laner, sure, you might not feel that impact right away, but if you control that solo lane, you're in a reasonably good position. And Sonya is one of those heroes that you control that so strongly. And actually, just thinking about that Sonya ban, we saw that those guys were hovering over a ban of the Ragnaros. Maybe that's a potential pick later down the line. Maybe Oh My Science might be thinking towards a hero like Ragnaros, and taking out the Sonya at this point is just trying to take away some of those heroes that really do pressure in that hero.
Alright. Genji, Uther, ETC being picked up by those guys.
Yeah, those guys.
Top tier naming.
Thanks, it feels very casual. I listen, those guys over there, just like they picked that, I guess.
I can't believe those guys did that.
Yeah.
What a play from those guys.
Yeah, those guys actually just came back.
Some top tier naming. Vala looking to be the ban out from Oh My Science. Not a bad pick. Take away one of those more solid range carries. Do you think we see some of the more heavy mages? Gul'dan, Jaina, KT.
Well, this is one of the maps where you need to put a little bit more priority on wave clear. If you don't have wave clear, you are going to struggle a bit on this map, because if you're behind in wave clear, you're always going to be behind in rotations, and you're always probably going to be late when it comes to turn-ins. And if you can control the first turn-in, you are then in a position to be able to control the second and potentially even the third. And this is a map where if you do control those turn-ins, control the web weavers, you can snowball this game incredibly quickly.
Do you believe in the Greyman solo? Because it's possible he can kind of solo.
It's possible, yeah. It is possible. Yeah.
There's some space for it. I've seen it happen a couple of times recently, just across games. But I was just thinking about, I was like, Greyman might make an interesting solo if they can find more wave clear on the side of Oh My Science. And then he's actually very impressive in a 1v1, depending on who's there. Taking the Sonya out of the equation really takes away that main 1v1. He can kill Azul. He kind of struggles with Zagara, but not many people are playing Zagara anymore. He can kind of handle Thrall if you were to go that route. And
Thrall did get a buff on this patch.
I mean, I don't actually think we're going to see a Thrall. I love Thrall, but I don't think we're actually going to see a Thrall. Nubarak ban, which is not a bad decision, but it means that there's some heavy magic damage coming for their comp soon.
Yeah, the Cocoon is a very good option to use against a Dragonblade and Genji. Unless he has a Divine Shield or something like that, as we do have the Arthur's Material, so that's their front line just dealt with right away, and that is quite a front line. Yeah,
it feels... I don't really see a cohesive strategy coming out from Oh My Science. It feels like they're just... they're picking up the components that make a team comp. Like, we need a mage. Okay, check. We need a range carry, somebody auto attack base. Check. We need somebody who can stand up in the front and
we need a main tank.
Damage. Check. We need an off tank. Check. Like
they've got the checklist or essentially done. They just need that support at the end to be able to heal.
So like I think this looks
very cookie cutter almost.
Cookie cutter comfort pick, because I wouldn't say either of them are super great in the terms of the wave clear. Arthas is better. Material's okay. Maybe you get Burning Rage on him and you just stand there and I'm on fire. But
the problem with Material's wave clear is that he, especially for the early game, he has to use a fair amount of mana, and he can. That's one thing that does limit him a reasonable amount, is his mana can be a bit of a problem. As you were talking about mages, and there's the Jaina is actually going to be picked up on the side of those guys, and also the Malthael. So that's also going to be their solo laner, and that's a reasonable amount of wave clear on the side of those guys, so they could potentially have that advantage. And if you're in the advantage when it comes to the rotations, if you have something like an ET with such easy lockdown, and also with follow-up from things like an Uther, Genji, and also a Jane, that's a lot of follow-up to any potential lockdown from the ETC. That could become a problem for Oh My Science.
Yeah. Karazim. Malthael, good answer to the double tank. Karazim, cool punch monk guy. There's not a that doesn't really answer anything to me.
He's just gonna be throwing hands. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a 7-sided strike on an isolated ETC has some merit, but I feel like teams have teams have always felt more confident with Palm. Palm has always had. It's just in recent memory, Palm's always been kind of the go-to. I've always felt 7-sided was underappreciated.
It is good, and if they feel as though they have the ability to lock down a target and get the full duration of that 7-sided strike, most notably onto that ETC, then they could really control all of these fights. But with the amount of there's very few it's essentially only the ETC that you're wanting to hit with that 7-sided strike, and if there's that Uther there, it's going to be hard to actually just burst through him. And also, if you have a Genji diving through your backline, that Palm is going to be so vital to ensuring the survivability of your very squishy backline. So,
I mean, what other supports were up? Like, were there other options?
Rhaegar is up. The Lucio, I think, was the only support ban.
Yeah. Could have taken Oriel. You've got a decent generator in Greymane.
He can be a generator, but he's not nearly the
It's not as good as a bunch of the other major generators.
Like if you're wanting a battery, you're wanting something like a Valor or Lunara.
All right. Well, we
Gordon, but we are getting to the game. It's going to be interesting to see how this one goes because we've got basically different compositions squaring off in this one.
The sword and the cheese. Slightly easier to pull out than the sword and stone. Tyrael pulls that one back to himself right quick, and both teams looking to just clear things out. Jaina saving her mana, waiting for things to get a little bit closer. Again, you're not worried about tower ammo anymore. The fact that tower ammo isn't a thing, I think, is fairly significant. And Battery puts a little bit of damage on the Gunner, but is going to more or less be sent packing. He'll head up top lane, and it's just going to be the wave clear fun time for both these teams, at least until somebody steps out of line.
Yeah, it's just going to be blasting down waves, just going from lane to lane, clear one, move on to the next, just gathering as much of the gems as you possibly can in this early game, and try and set yourself up in a position to be able to get that first hand in. As I was saying, if you can get that first hand in, you can potentially get level 10 for your opponents, and then they get the next one, as they do get a nice lockdown. The Jaina damage is doing a decent amount of work, and they aren't able to drop them very low, but in the end, they are able to back away, and it's just back to the wave clear game.
Great ETC slide to cut that play stun. Everybody looking to pick up Jaina. I think if they pulled the trigger in the moment Jaina was in that brush, they might have caught her, but she will slip away. Treebeard survives. Now is going to rotate top to be able to continue to clear out the waves. Malthael versus Tyrael in the bottom lane. Malthael will win that if Tyrael decides to fight that. And looks like Tyrael's playing very safe until his friends show up. Battery's there, so is Dark Chimera. Average Joe will go down, and just realized that's Dark Chimera. That's why they're playing Kerosene. He loves Kerosene.
Kerosene, he's
also got Iron Fist, so like this is a fight mode. This is punch mode. This is fighting Kerosene.
To be honest, I feel as though even if you are a solo support, Kerosene, going for the Iron Fist is still the better option. You just get more use out of that style than going for the healing on Kerosene, because you can still output a fair amount of healing even when you go for Iron Fist, but you can still like punch people right in the jaw, and it accentuates that very forward diving type of playstyle that you're really wanting with a Grey Mane and a Li Ming. You want to be moving forward, you want these team fights to have that forward momentum, and the Kerosene, he plays into that style very well.
Yeah, there are two heroes that Dark Chimera loves, Chromie and Kerosene. Those are doing his favorite.
I'm guessing you're not going to be playing support Chromie anytime soon, so it's Kerosene for this one.
Well, so back in the day, this would have been 8 or 9 months ago, when Dark was playing on Vox before Vox broke up. So this is first half of the season, back in like March, February, April. He would play Chromie, and when that would happen, he would not be like they would switch somebody else on to support, so he could play Chromie because he was a Chromie god. Like nobody played Chromie. It was like Schwimpy and Dark. Like nobody played Chromie.
You have those specialists who, well, not, I'd say
you're like one or two per region who can play the character. Just like they've just mastered this one thing. Like Michael Udall way back in the day with the Vikings. Like nobody played Vikings but Michael.
You have those character specialists, and when you get those people on, it's just like what's his name over in EU? The
Hazu. A lot of people. Hazu. Yeah, Hazu. The EU Vikings.
The OG Vikings from EU. You have those character specialists, and you get them on those, and it's not just about you play those characters really well, but you have that confidence to be able to make those plays regardless of who you're up against. It's like you could be up against the best teams in the world, but if you're on something comfortable, you know your limits, and you're able to push those limits with the help of your team.
Yeah, so I wonder he may actually go the 7-sided strike for Kerosene, which I'd like to see if he could pull that off. But this is gonna be the first Web Weaver wave being turned in for the side of Oh My Science. They've cleared out the waves. Things pretty even. Both teams close in experience with level 7. So if the members of those guys die, if they fall here and drop all those gems, it's going to be bad for them. That's a lot of damage onto Troy. Genji goes into the back line. Gunner is going to be able to flip out of there. Now Satat taking a lot of damage is going to be cleansed, but down go the gems. Treebeard will pick up a lot of them, so they'll be able to maintain some of that. The advantage and experience is going to start to flow for my science. They're going to be able to take one wall easily. The top wall will likely go down as well if there's no one to defend. And they've got Hacho in the bottom, putting on some pressure and keeping Malthael there. So they maybe actually go for an even better play if they can get Treebeard and no one can pick up the gems. Blue Dragon, or Blue Demon wants to go for it, but he can't get it. Gunner was thinking about it, but that is 40, maybe even 50 gems to slide. He gets 30.
He does get them, but this is the situation that I was describing earlier, is that from this first turn in, they're able to get to level 10, this middle fort is actually going to go down, which secures the level 10, and because of this, those guys have to be very careful with how they play out the rest, well, these next 2 levels, because they are so far from level 10, and this will give so much time and space over to Oh My Science to play the map however they want. They have more than enough time to gather up the rest of the gems needed for a second turn in, and they will be able to get that without too much problem, because they have that heroic advantage. You do not want to be fighting down those heroic talents, and those guys have to respect that, or else they could get punished incredibly for it.
Yep. Dokkamura stalling out some of these plays, stopping them from being able to turn in. So now holding their 70 gems, there's solid 45, so they only need to find 10 more in favor of Oh My Science. And now they're sneaking their way up top to pick up a boss. This is very good decisive decision making from them. It's a good quick play. There isn't going to be a lot of time. There will be the counter turn in, but the boss is going to stop the top, and they should be able to easily clear out the mid and the bot. So they've now canceled out that turn in from the side of those guys.
Yeah, that's essentially what you want to be doing. You just want to try and mitigate a turn in as much as possible. They realized that they probably weren't sure they still had the heroic advantage, but they felt as though they were able to use that advantage and get more of a push going with the help of the boss, rather than trying to delay that a little bit longer for a potential turn in of their own, and almost give a bit of an in for those guys to get their level 10 and their heroics to try and mount some kind of comeback in that time zone. Getting that boss is going to, as you mentioned, almost completely nullify, and that's essentially a delaying tactic, those 50 gems on the side of those guys.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great counter out by them. Now looking at a possible team fight. There are more than enough gems for. Oh no, just enough gems. No, more than enough gems to turn in on the side of Oh My Science. They'll be able to look at that right now. Gonna get in the small number gems, and Greymane down there, he's got the big pot, and that's a little bit of pressure on the Seiryu. Should be fine though, gets healed up, Dragon Blade into the back line, that's gonna be a good launch pit, but down comes the invulnerability. Good sanctification is gonna keep them alive. That's a pretty solid ring, but there's damage on the outside. That Li Ming is looking for blood. Everybody's still surviving, the palm is gonna be used, doesn't manage to be popped, and now, down goes the Malthael. Here's some more damage on Satat. Hocho is looking for it, needs a little bit more damage to come out from Troy, and step forward, Dark Chimera, get a little bit more with that 1-2 punch. They're gonna take the team fight, and they have their turn in. They should be able to possibly take this keep top if they want to commit to it. They're all tapping up, and they're looking for it.
Yeah, brilliant fight. They played that so well. They were all skirting so low, but managed to play it just well enough to get the kills and also stay alive themselves. And as you mentioned, it was just as that turning came in, and they're going to be able to almost get the maximum out of this. They're putting a lot of pressure on this top side, while they've also got the mid and bottom waves pushing, and to see how this defense is going, because 13 is already up, and they're just going to go, oh my god, look at that damage! They just got demolished immediately. That's 2 down, and there's absolutely no response. There's 13 up on the side of Oh My Science. That is going to be 3 down. They are going to take down this deep, and we'll have to see, do they go just straight for the core? They're actually just going to move over to this, and also it's still reasonably early, and the death times are still reasonably short, but they are going to use this time to just go around the horn, just grab that middle keep, and now move on to the bottom line. They're just going to absolutely gut the base of those guys, and there's absolutely nothing that they can do. They are going to drop that ring. There's absolutely no value out of that. They're trying to force them away, but they're not able to do it, and they're trying to force them away. They're going in with a Torment of the Souls, not able to finish off anyone just yet. He does strike his way back in there. They're trying to back their way out as a nice sanctification gets used, but they move all the way out of it. The Divine Shield onto the Dragon Blade has been used, but it's just taking so much damage, and they're just not able to catch any of those members of Oh My Science.
Yeah, they also had solid. They had solid heroics back up by the time that was a play, so they would use the Army of the Dead and the Sanctification to walk out of there, and that's a 3-key play at 10 minutes. That is really good, and I think that off the fact that it was boss delayed turn in, team fight turn in, triple key play. Like that was a domino effect from that point where they made the decision to take that boss. That is the linchpin play that set them ahead, and now they can look for an ambush. All they have to really do is find 1 or 2 kills, and they will be able to get themselves very easy end to game. Holy Ground doesn't find them anything. They're going to take a camp and just add to that ability to buy your way through with those double camps. This could very easily be the end. They have a 4-level lead, but Team Palantir is not there.
Yeah, and there's not really much time or space for those guys to be able to get that little bit of extra experience, and they're not in a good position. You don't want to be fighting level or even Talontiers down, but the best you're going to get at this point for them is hitting level 13 and fighting at only 1, because right now you're fighting at 2 down, and it is not going to go well. They just go in, they lock them down. The mosh pit gets interrupted immediately. Not able to get any value out of that, but the fight is already going very well in favor of Oh My Science. They're trying to just throw their heroics down those guys, but they're just not able to land them with much efficiency. The Sanctification is just brilliant, able to keep the rest of the team alive. Battery is going to go down very low. The Palm is going to not get procced, he's just going to die, but already the core is down, and that is an incredibly dominant Game 1 coming out of Oh My Science.
All right, so basically 10 minutes in, game explodes.
Yeah.
Great series of plays from Oh My Science. Again, I really think that the decision to make that boss play when they did gave them the advantage that they needed. So that's going to be game 1 over to them. We'll see whether or not they take this into 2-0 sweep or things come back, because for pretty much the beginning of the game, things looked reasonably even between the two rosters. It didn't feel that Oh My Science had overwhelming control, but the game ended fairly quickly.
Yeah, that's essentially what I was kind of describing coming into this match, is that, well, especially on Tomb of the Spider Queen, you grab that first turn in, and Oh My Science were able to do that. They were able to get that first turn in, and from there, they were able to leverage that into an incredible experience lead, because they're able to grab pretty much every one of the outer towers, and they managed to even grab a couple of forts with it as well, which is more than what you usually expect from the first Web Weaver phase. And from there, they had the 2-level advantage, and as you mentioned, they went to that boss, and they were able to just control the game from then on out. Once they get that first turn in, you control the experience game, and then you just choke your opponents out of the game. And sure, there was a turn in coming in from those guys, but it was completely nullified by the level disadvantage and also the boss. So in the end, they weren't able to get any value out of their turn in, and it was just so clean coming out of Oh My Science to just play that through.
All right, so we'll be moving to map 2 momentarily. We are getting into the lobby right now, and it's going to be BOE chosen by those guys. So going back to the map they previously won, the map they were able to take up against Kevin looking for girlfriend, and they're just looking to move people around and get the last people into the lobby before we start getting things going.
Yeah, I mean, it was very interesting, their last game on BOE. I mean, it was they were kind of getting bodied for most of it, and it was just on the back of some very valued death metals that they were able to make their way back into it. But you never know, maybe some kind of Hail Mary could work for them this time around. And considering how that first game went, they're probably going to need something similar to that to manage to get the game against this very strong lineup that Oh My Science is showing.
All right, we have all the members into the lobby, so should be starting momentarily. Draft-wise, think we see anything crazy? I have to remember to go and Flame Dark for going Palm and not going 7-sided because innovation.
Yeah, I mean, you can understand the Palm considering the two drafts. I mean, you could use the 7-side to blow up the ETC, but to be honest, they were more worried about blowing up their backline, and they were doing that just fine with what they had. So the Palm was just a nice little reassurance that didn't necessarily get. They didn't necessarily get the most value out of it, but it was a nice little backup plan to have.
But they basically never used it. Like, just imagine if that's a 7-sided monk in the middle of that. Things die faster.
Things do die faster when you start throwing more hands instead of a palm. Wait. Yeah. throw fists instead of a palm.
He's not even throwing hands.
Yeah.
Kicks. 7-sided strike is all kicks.
It's all kicks off. It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, no, there is no throwing of hands.
Yeah. Unfortunate. It's just the rest of his kit is throwing hands.
He's just yeah. He spends all of his time throwing hands until it's time to throw down.
give the fists a break.
Actually, no. There's plenty of time in his auto attack combo where he kicks.
Yeah.
He does spinning roundhouse kicks.
Anyway, we can move on from the
animation science of playing Karazim. First ban gonna be. Oh wait, they switched sides. No, they're same sides.
It is still Oh My Science on the blue and those guys on the red because those guys pick the map. Oh My Science gets the first pick.
Okay, so Lucio ban. It's been removed. It's been taken away. No more Boostio. No more riding around at the speed of sound.
He's pretty good. We've seen it.
I know he's good, but it's just so hard for me to believe in banning Lucio.
Hey, we saw that they had a favor for that Karazim, and you can, if you have a favor for that Karazim, I mean, you don't want.
That might have just been flexing that they were able to play something a little unorthodox and gain value out of it. Arthas ban. It was a little problematic for them in the last game, but again, I don't think the Arthas was the reason they lost. I think it was really just shot calling and timing on that play.
Yeah, it was. I felt like it came down to just the control. It was just a little bit once you start choking a team out on Tomb of the Spider Queen, you really have to overstep your mark to start throwing that lead away. And we saw On My Science, they didn't really let up for a minute.
Yeah, there were a couple of opportunities. I mean, the mid fight that set up the push with the turn in, that fight actually got kind of close. If that ring had been a little bit better and they had managed to pick off the Li Ming on that, that play might have come through. But Li Ming going to be picked up again for the side of Oh My Science. Solid first pick. Kind of hard to counter Li Ming unless you play a new bracket. I feel like people don't play a new bracket as much as they used to.
Yeah, and there's also the thing with the Anubarak is that Li Ming just counters the cocoon so easily that sure, Anubarak does have the spell armor, but the Li Ming, when it comes to heroics, the Li Ming counters the Anubarak. It is essentially how the metagame ended up working out. So Anubarak is just not in the he's just kind of fallen out of favor recently, but it is going to be ETC and Greymane picked up for those guys. So they're still sticking with that ETC, wanting to get it to work, but also taking away the Greymane, not wanting to allow that one to go across, because we saw how dominant they were. I believe it was Battery who was playing that Greymane, going very aggressive, and was allowed to do so with that composition and able to make it work really well. So that's not going to be in their hands for this game, and we'll have to see what else they go with.
Gives them a solid turnaround damage to try and finish off the Li Ming. Let's see what else. What else is up? Standard things. Still got the Vala. Still got.
We could look at
Genji.
things like maybe just pick up the Muradin right now just to secure that front line, because we've already seen the Arthur's taken away. We've got the ETC already picked away. If you want that really solid front line, the Muradin is still available and is a potential ban for that second second ban, but it is actually going to be the Karazim and also that Valera. You're wanting to see that Valera, and we get to see it for this game.
So now it's roaming Valera. Karazim is their answer to the race. So they'll take that one more time. Now it's going to be tank and possibly additional race, or tank. It might even just be double tank because you've got plenty of damage.
Yeah, they can essentially go. Almost Science can essentially go with their main tank, and then they can be very flexible with what they want for their 5th pick. Whereas on the other side, they still need their support, and again, they could be very flexible with the other 2 picks. So there's still a lot of flexibility left in the draft, and that's essentially what you get with the Greymane ETC early pick.
Nubarak ban.
Yeah, I mean it does cut through. It brings a rather considerable amount of crowd control, and if you're not wanting to get interrupted as an ETC, I mean, just get rid of as many of the crowd control options as possible. We've been seeing ETCs not having a very good time landing a lot of those mosh bits. So yeah, just getting more of it out of the way.
Good answer back with the Genji. You cannot cocoon him, so might as well take the Dragon Blade off the map. And it's not as if Anna's sleep dart is as good in this game as it is in Overwatch.
I mean, I love playing Anna, and when you hit those good sleep darts, oh, it's so satisfying. You just like, this Chromie's trying to poke away at you, and you just like snipe that Chromie with the sleep dart, and all of a sudden you have your team just rock up, and it's like, hey Chromie, how you doing?
I mean, you just look at them, and in Overwatch it's like, I look at you and you're done, and
yeah,
it's a little bit more difficult to play the Anna.
Yes.
Tyrion plus Alarak, so taking some burst, taking some front line. This kind of just makes me think you take Malthael tank for the side of Battlefield, like Malthael Muradin, and you're good.
It is a possibility, yeah. I mean, we saw the Alarak in the previous game on Battlefield of Eternity, and we saw how much value it was getting with how he was able to drag members with the telekinesis into a lot of the immortal stuns. But we also saw the negative sides of Alarak is that he is not very mobile and can get caught out a fair bit. And to be honest, with something like a Valera, if you manage to get the silence onto that Alarak, all he's got left is auto attacks in the bank, and sure, his passive does empower those against heroes, but he is very reliant on his abilities to get the most value out of him. It's actually going to be the Dahaka, so they are going for that Muradin as you were kind of suggesting, but the Dahaka is going to be their option for that solo lane. Interesting.
That's. I'm trying to feel, think my way through that process, because I feel Dahaka doesn't answer what you need for the comp in the same way, unless you're taking it like. Are you taking Dahaka so you can for isolation, so that you can use that as your pick tool? Like combine that with Valera?
They do have good ways of locking down individual targets, as you mentioned, the isolation, the Valera with the Garrote, the silence from that ability. They can just see a target and essentially come out of the shadows. You can you can see the Leeming, Karazim, and Muradin in a lane. Is like, okay, we just see 3. We can just start setting 4 down there. But all of a sudden, you could have a Valera pop out of the shadows. You have a Dahaka in a brush beside you, and then all of a sudden it's a 5v4. So there's a potential for some very interesting number mismatches, depending on how these laning matchups go. All
right. Well, we've got both of the teams compositions have been finished out. This could be the end of the night if Oh My Science can bring this one back, can bring this one to a 2-0 and win things through. We'll see whether or not the side of those guys have what it takes to beat a team that really just out-macroed them and out-strategied them and out-fought them. Like, there was nothing crazy really went on. It was just like, this was the right decision at the right time. Felt as if those guys didn't really have an opportunity to showcase what they could do. So we'll see if they do better off in this match. This is the Heroes Hype Holiday Series. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm the Source. Joining me has been GL Phoenix. And make sure you guys head over to the Matcherino. You've got the length of this game to help support the tournament. You guys can check out the cool gear they've got there. That money will go into the prize pool, or you can hit up the Matcherino code HHH1. Heroes Hype Holiday 1. We'll go with that. HHH1 is the code. I'll add $1 to the prize pool, and it costs you guys no more than a couple of keystrokes. We are into game on the blue side. It is going to be On My Science. On the red side, it's going to be those guys. And which composition do you think is going to win this one? I'm in favor of On My Science, just because it seems as if they're playing on form.
Yeah, they're looking very good, and I'm very interested to see how this Valera goes. We've heard about her strength. We've seen it in the Hero League games, and now we get to see it in the hands of like a very coordinated team. And this composition, if she starts getting aggressive on some of those heroes, the follow-up is just going to demolish some of these members on the side of those guys.
Well, Saru was sneaking around in the bush, but got found. Is still sitting in his sitting in the fog, waiting for an opportunity. That's a lot of damage onto the Li Ming. Ooh, she is going to survive that though. Gunner is going to step up a little bit further forward. Saru was able to get in there and help him, but Troy was almost brought low and might as well back. This now makes this bottom lane a difficult place. Hocho and Dark Chimera are not going to have good wave play.
Yeah, they have to be very careful, and that's one thing that is going to be, could potentially be an issue for the side of My Science, is that their wave clear is reasonably limited to just like gleaming from range, and if you get put behind in the siege game, it can be very hard to get back into it if you're so far behind on wave clear. So that could be an issue for them, but we'll just have to see them try and just essentially just teamfight their way out of it. As the Silence goes down onto the Brightwing, not able to get the follow just yet. Try and remove pressure, just force them back. But beyond that, not really too much going on just yet in this early game. Just trading back and forward and getting ready for the first Immortal phase.
Yeah, it looks as if them getting a kill is going to need to be every single piece of the puzzle coming together at the same time. Valera is going to need to stun. Hocho is going to need to stun. The Chimera is going to need to get in, at least 2 sets of 3 auto attack combos, but they're going to get some good damage in there. The Valera does go in. The silences on average, but they haven't managed to finish him off yet. Saru goes deep to make that play, and Hocho can't find him.
Oh, wow.
That's terrible. Gunner is going to be able to pick up the Li Ming, finishes him off. Now Hocho is in some serious trouble. Things are backfiring and in a bad way.
Yeah, this is incredible stuff for those guys. Getting 3 kills for nothing? That's essentially all that you could ask for at this point in the game. They're able to get the fairly considerable experience lead coming into these first Immortal phase. They're going to be able to apply a lot of pressure, and the siege damage is starting to stack up. And I was saying that Oh My Science is going to have to try and teamfight their way out of this. If they needed to go a lot cleaner than what happened just there if they want to have any chance of restabilizing this shit.
Alright, they've got the camp. It can be there for the counter. They really do need to send their members there to race, and the Monk isn't one of the people doing it. He has so much on-hit damage. He could actually be evening this out despite them being behind, and they're actually going to come out of it ahead on the side of Oh My Science. They really need to win this race. They've got that camp in the bottom lane. Fallen Shamans have canceled out the cause res. Now it's going to be a straight race. They should be able to do this well, but Satat is coming in to try and slow them down. Chocho will have to walk away. Battery has grouped up the rest of the team. Nobody is DPSing, but they're sending Gunner off to do that solo. And the members of Oh My Size. They need to be ready for this because this is starting to be burned down there. They need to find the individual kill. Looks like Saryu's going to go for the individual kill.
Oh, they go in onto the Grey Mane, and he got silenced and then locked down by the Dahaka, and they're actually going to be able to pick him up, and that dissuades a lot of the pressure coming out of those guys. A great Discord Strike silences two of the members of my sides, forcing them all the way back, and it looks like we're just going to get returned to the race, and that extra racing pressure coming out of the side of Oh My Science allowed them that little bit of extra room, and they played that incredibly well, and they get the first Immortal of this game.
Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, there's a Fallen Shaman destroying everything. This has turned out great for them. They managed to bring this one back after that initial 3-kill problem, and just like the length of time that series of plays went, the timing is just perfect for them, especially if Battery can keep Blue Demon down here. They've got that Immortal up in the top lane. They've managed to finish off the wall. They're now ahead in experience. They only have 1 kill. They have a singular kill, but everything is coming into alignment for them. So Tat taking too much damage is going to slide forward. Hocho should be fine. Maybe they can continue to pressure this fort, and they may get this. If they commit a reasonable amount of damage, they're playing it very safely, though.
It could be very risky to stick around much longer, as Troy stayed around a little bit too long, got slowed down by the fort, and Seryu is trying to help out a friend but gets punished for it instead. And yeah, they stuck around a little bit too long on that fort trying to finish it off, gets punished for it, and in the end we've still got a rather even game, although the structure advantage is very much in favor of Oh My Science.
Battery sneaking around in the bottom lane is pushed up pretty far, is keeping this Bright Wing pretty much locked down and forced to deal with he's basically continuously wave clearing. Now the remaining members of Oh My Science are grouped up again. There's just that Cosra camp. They should be able to clear that one out fairly easily. And they're actually looking to put some pressure forward, at least threaten the fight, make it a possibility while they clear out this camp fairly fast. We're probably about a minute out from seeing the next Immortal phase, and it's going to be whether or not they feel confident on the side of Oh My Science to try and take this fort before that happens and secure themselves, which should be the level 10 lead going into the Immortal.
Yeah, and if they can get to level 10 before their opponents and force a fight in that time, that is a surefire way to get advantage onto the Immortals and eventually just push down more of the structures. So very close to knocking down that fort on the top side, but because they weren't able to get that, the experience is starting to swing a little bit in favor of those guys, but so far, nothing is just trying to maintain for now until the Immortals come up, which is just now. I have to see how both teams play this, because both sides do have a global to work with.
Yep, the Waves were in kind of an awkward position, and it is clear that as long as the experience keeps coming in, it's going to be advantage for those guys. They feel confident enough to put a little bit of pressure forward, and Valera has been silenced out. Seryu taking a little bit of damage, did manage to stealth, has to pop a silence, and dashes a little bit further away. He's really just buying time for his team. They are going to be able to get that fort up in the top and get themselves the level 10 advantage. They've also got the advantage on the race. They managed to bring down this Immortal. The question is yeah, no, they're looking to fight. The side of those guys is not going to give them the opportunity to win the race.
Yeah, those guys should be looking for the fight, and the side of Oh My Science, they realize that they have to play reasonably careful, or they actually are just going to go in right now. The counter-strike does come through, it only hits the Karazima. He is fine. A nice mosh pit, but gets immediately interrupted. They put the isolation onto him, the great sanctification, and look at the damage coming out of that line. They take down the Dahaka, and they want to keep on moving forward. They don't, the 7-side strike got popped there, and gets absolutely no value, but because of that kill, the rest of the members of those guys, they just gonna push in onto that Immortal, and they clean it up, and nicely done for that.
Yeah, that was all off the back of a really great telekinesis. It caught 3 people, which forced... It was a good telekinesis combo. It forced them to have to retreat, and that gave an opening for them to find that kill into the Dahaka. Now, on the defensive, Oh My Science shouldn't lose more than this fort, along with the wall, but they may lose the inner wall. They may lose the keep wall as well, but I don't see them losing the keep.
With the amount of or the lack of defensive siege on the side of those on the side, so they do get locked down, and there's the kill going on to that Karazim. Yeah, with very limited.
They may lose the keep now.
Yeah, this is going to be a rather risky situation. That they have to be very careful with how they play. Sure, the Dahago's on the bottom side and he's tying down the right wing, but they just don't have the tools to be able to deal with this push right now.
Yeah, there's that additional bit of shielding coming in from Tyrael. Treebeard just makes it a little bit more difficult, slows things down. Sometimes getting a keep is a battle of inches, and this time it's going to be an engagement from Valir onto Average Joe. He's going to counter out that. It does get stunned up and now brought down. They're going to lose the keep for this, so now they need to find the rest of the fight. Emerald Wind has been used. Blue Demon now under pressure. They're looking at this Brightling. They managed to stun him out. One thing, a little bit more damage. Down comes Sanctification. It's going to spread out the enemy team. Ooh, they thought they were going to be able to do that, but Seryu goes down right before they managed to finish off the Greymane. The 7-sided strike is what finishes the job. Now Treebeard, he'll run, but he should go down. There should be a stun or a little bit of body block. They'll be finished off, and they get revenge, but they've lost the keep.
Yeah, it ended up just being a 3-for-1, and that's essentially what I've said this team needs to do. With looking at the amount of wave clear and siege control that both of these teams have, NY Science are essentially having to fight their way out of a deficit, and because they're just not able to. We saw those guys were able to just push in, and there was nothing that NY Science could really do to push back with just Li Ming damage from afar, which could easily get blocked by a Tyrael and just keep that Immortal healthy for so much longer than what you would like. And yeah, it's going to be a bit of a rough one, but if some of the games earlier today have shown being able to fight your way back into a game, it can happen, but it's not the most reliable of things to play upon.
Alright, all the members on the side of my science grouping up as those guys are prepping a devastating siege, consistently using that Tyrael shield to buff up the minion wave, make it even harder with the limited wave clear that they already have. 20 seconds on that Immortal. It's going to be Dahaka trying to get a little bit of wave clear here. He's being collapsed on. Battery has to get out of there soon. It's going to notice it. Don't think that they can collapse on him anymore from this angle, so that'll be a reprieve for the side of Oh My Science. A little bit of a miscalculation by those guys. The camp will be finished up, and they're going to instantly have great positioning on this race.
Oh, that is a very favorable position for them. They will be able to blast it down. They have the damage for it, and they should be able to get it to at least halfway before really much of a reaction comes out from those guys. But we do see that there is still that Shaman camp and now 3 catapults pushing on that top side, so they have to be very careful with how they play the rest of this phases. They do get the lockdown onto the Karazim. They lock in. The 7-sided is used as an escape tool. Oh, brilliantly done to be able to survive that whole ordeal. As there was the mosh pit was used as well. So it was only just the one. It was just the one heroic used, but a lot of tools and potential lockdown used. And all that was used in response was the Karazim 7-sided strike. So nicely done from them.
Yeah, you will trade that anytime, because that's back up in 25 seconds, so there's not another mosh pit for 94. That is a difference of 70 seconds in terms of that cooldown. There's plenty of opportunity there. The camp in the bottom has actually started to move, so now they just want to play this as slow as possible, make it take significant amounts of time, because Brightwing can't leave to then come back. There isn't enough time for him to make a play like that, and that is why the trigger is starting to be pulled from the side of those guys. They're looking for opportunity, they're looking for a play. Hocho is now grouped up with Seryu. They're going to look to go in right about now. Everybody's grouped up. Sanctification does go down. They survive the stun. And Dark Chimera is looking for a play. He's going to need to pop that 7-sided strike again. Out comes the counter strike. They're still finishing off this Immortal, but people are starting to fall. Emerald Wind to push a number of those assassins away, but Battery is keeping them busy. There comes the 7-sided. It's going to put some pressure onto the ETC. They mildly isolate him. Maybe there's a Stormbolt left in the tank. Great polymorph by Blue Demon, but they've already lost a keep for that one. They've got Troy, who actually managed to pick up a kill, finished off the Tyrael. Oh, goodbye, Li Ming. You're going to bring over that wall right into the ETC. That's all she wrote. But that Fallen Shaman is still causing a little bit of trouble, and the Immortal doesn't necessarily go where you want it to. It's going to go towards the bottom, and there's still plenty of space for the side of Oh My Science to maneuver.
Yeah, Dark Chimera is actually going to get caught out, but does manage to use a lot of those radiant dashes to get out of there. And because it was so delayed, the push coming out from the side of those guys, it allowed the Karazin to start punching away at that shield. And now we have the shield taken away from it. It is in melee range, and it allows the defense to be a little bit easier, but they're just going to go for the fight. The Emerald Wind has to be used to try and disengage from the fight. The damage is now being put down onto the members as the Karazin gets demolished. Absolutely nothing can be done about that one, but it does give the extra time over to Oh My Science to be able to finish off the Immortal, but without their support, they have to be a little bit careful with how they play. Oh, a great tongue drag! They drag him in, they go be able to take down one as Satan is taken very low. He doesn't have any mana, so he has to be very careful with how the rest of the team fight goes, as they are going to start moving forward. The support is going to get dragged as well. There's another tongue, and they take down the support, and they can keep on going on with this fight. He jumps over the holy ground, and they're going to get the lockdown onto the Grey Man. There's a lot of third tongue, and they're able to grab him as well. They get another one, and now they're going to keep on pushing forward. And do they actually start just going in onto the core? Do they have enough in the tank to just try and end it here? They start moving into the base. So. It looks like they want to do it.
That might be a little bit aggressive, but
they want to go for the play. They realize that this isn't, if they just get into the siege game, it is not going to go well. They're chasing after Troy on the Li Ming, but they do actually start to back themselves away as they managed to pick out the Li Ming, and also the Valeera is in not a very good position. She is going absolutely nowhere as she gets picked off, and yeah, that was a little bit bold. They had the very good chase down, but probably just a little bit over eager, just saw the blood in their eyes and tried to bite off more than they could chew, and they ended up paying for it there.
They'll be back up to defend for sure, but this is going to mean no camp advantage for them. Gunners are going to be able to take the Shaman camp. They're going to have to deal with that eventually. Now they're bodying in, making their way on this invasion to take the Bruiser camp away from the side of Oh My Science. Now they're going to have to deal with that. They're going to have to clear that out, and that may have cost them the clean 2-0 victory. They have everybody pretty much back up now, but I mean, there's nobody there defending and stopping Gunner from getting the free advantage, so they're gonna have to try and win this off the halftime.
Yeah, they still have a little bit of time to work with. It's also this halftime show is also going to allow the rest of the team to set up for the play. We'll have to see how Battery goes with this Darker, because we saw those 3 tongue drags in succession were just absolutely instrumental in getting that advantage, but we'll just have to wait and see how the rest of this goes. We're starting to play the patient game again. We do have a Shaman camp on the top side as an iceberg goes in. They are going to lock down the Sands down, but they do a lot of damage to Seryu. He isn't going to get dropped just yet. There's a lot of... Oh, they just demolished the EGC. The sanctification not there in time, so that's one of their massive heroes just down for the count for another 50 seconds as the monster was only just coming up, not able to get any value out of this. Valeera is going to get dropped very low. Gunner trying to execute those squishy targets, but they are trying to just trade it back and forth. The Emerald Wind has to get used to disengage because they were in a very precarious situation. It's a nice silence as they managed the Discord Strike, finishing off that Murden, so they're ending up trading 1-for-1. The main tanks are down. Now they want to go back in. The silence goes down onto the Brightwing, but they get to respond as the finishes off with the polymorph as the healing comes in. They manage to take down the Brightwing. Oh, perfect Discord Strike silences 2 of the members of Oh My Science, and they're trying to turn this around. They're actually just trading kills. They're not even trading, they're just picking up kills on the side.